Have you ever wondered why my neighbors thought I'd completely lost my mind when they saw me standing at the kitchen sink, rubbing half a lemon and a fistful of coarse salt into a rust stain? Or why I was in my backyard, boiling a big pot of white vinegar on my camp stove in the middle of a Tuesday morning, steam rising up around my face like I was brewing some kind of witch's potion? My neighbor Linda leaned over the fence with that look. You know the one, the polite American smile that's really asking, "Should we call someone?" I just waved at her and kept stirring. That was 15 years ago, and I haven't bought a single bottle of store-bought cleaning product since. Not one. No bleach spray, no ultra-concentrated power foam, no lavender-scented bathroom cleaner with the little bubble logo. Nothing. And my house, this 1960s colonial in Ohio that raised 4 children, hosted 30 Thanksgivings, and absorbed 40 years of life, is cleaner today than it has ever been. I am 72 years old, and today I'm going to open a very special notebook. It's old. The cover is stiff and dark with age, and there are grease fingerprints on page 14 that have been there since the Eisenhower administration. It belonged to my grandmother Mabel, and what's written inside is not just how to clean a floor. It's how to escape one of the most successful cons in American commercial history. Stay with me. You're going to want to hear this. It started with a cough. I was cleaning my downstairs bathroom, the small one near the garage, on a Saturday morning in late October. I had my usual arsenal lined up on the edge of the tub: the blue toilet cleaner, the orange scrubbing foam, the green all-purpose spray, the purple mold killer. I sprayed the mold killer first, then I sprayed the orange foam. Then, without thinking, I added the blue toilet cleaner to the bowl and started scrubbing. Within about 30 seconds, my eyes were burning. My lungs seized up. I stumbled out into the hallway, coughing so hard I had to sit down on the floor and catch my breath. My eyes were streaming. My throat felt like I'd swallowed a lit match. My husband came running. He thought I'd had a fall. I hadn't fallen. I had mixed cleaning chemicals in an enclosed space, the way millions of Americans do every single weekend without even realizing it, because the industry that sells us these products never once tells us they become toxic when combined. They just put them all on the same shelf, put happy colors on the labels, and let us figure it out the hard way. I sat there on the hallway floor, and I had a very clear thought. I am poisoning myself, in my own home, with products I paid good money for. I went to the garage and I got a cardboard box. I walked back to that bathroom and I put every single bottle in the box. Then I went through the rest of the house, under the kitchen sink, the little cabinet in the laundry room, the shelf above the washing machine, and I filled that box to the brim. 17 products. 17. And I drove them to the hazardous waste drop-off at the county facility because that's where they belonged. Then I came home, went to my bedroom closet, reached up to the high shelf behind the winter sweaters, and I pulled down Mabel's notebook. I hadn't looked at it in years, honestly. My mother had given it to me when I got married. "You'll need this," she'd said, which at the time I thought was a lovely but slightly quaint sentiment. It was spiral bound, the old kind with a cardboard cover, and Mabel had written in it in pencil with a very decisive, no-nonsense hand. The pages smelled like paper and something else, something faint and clean and sharp that I couldn't quite name until I opened to page 1 and read the first word: vinegar. Mabel had grown up during the Depression. She had raised 6 children in a farmhouse in rural Indiana on next to nothing, and she had kept that house immaculate. Not clean enough. Immaculate. Neighbors used to come over just to see her kitchen floor. That's what my mother always said. She didn't do it with products. She did it with knowledge, with the practical chemistry of simple ingredients that her own mother had taught her, and that her mother's mother had taught before that. Her first recipe in the notebook was for an all-purpose cleaning solution. 2 parts water, 1 part plain white distilled vinegar. That was it. No fragrance, no surfactants, no warnings not to breathe it in. Just water and vinegar in a clean glass bottle, with a few drops of dish soap if you needed cutting power on grease. I went to my pantry. I found a half-gallon jug of white vinegar that I used for pickling. I found an old spray bottle under the sink, the last clean one in the house after I'd thrown everything else out, and I rinsed it out 3 times with hot water. I made my first batch of Mabel's solution, and I walked back into that bathroom. The smell hit me first. Sharp and clean and honest, not the chemical sweet perfume of a store product, but the smell of something that actually works, something with intention behind it. I sprayed the countertop. I wiped it with a cotton cloth cut from an old t-shirt, because Mabel's notebook specifically said, "No paper towels, they leave lint and cost money." The countertop didn't just look clean, it gleamed. I could see my reflection in the chrome faucet more clearly than I ever had with the so-called bathroom shine spray. I stood there for a minute. Then I went to find a lemon. Mabel had 4 pages dedicated to lemon. Lemon juice, lemon rind, lemon combined with salt, lemon with baking soda, lemon with olive oil for wood conditioning. She wrote, and I remember this so clearly, she wrote, "The good Lord put everything you need to clean a house right in the garden. The factory boys just want you to forget that." Mabel was not a particularly religious woman, but she believed absolutely in the factory boys trying to take your money, and she was right about that more than she could have ever imagined. The rust ring in my sink, the one that had been there for 3 months because nothing I'd tried would touch it, was gone in 6 minutes. Half a lemon, a tablespoon of coarse kosher salt, some patience, and a little elbow grease. Gone. I could have cried, so I kept going. Now, Linda from next door, sweet Linda, who meant well and who drove a very clean minivan. She came over one afternoon about a week into my experiment and found me in the kitchen with a bowl of baking soda and a damp sponge, working on a burn spot on the enamel stovetop that had been there since my son's ill-fated attempt to make caramel for Christmas. "What are you doing?" she asked. I showed her. She watched me work the paste in slow circles. "That's not going to do anything," she said. I told her to wait. 3 minutes later, the burned sugar was gone. The enamel was bright white. Linda blinked. "I just bought a new product for that," she said. $18. I handed her a box of baking soda that had cost 39 cents. Word got around, the way it does in a neighborhood when someone is doing something that looks either brilliant or unhinged. My neighbor across the street, a retired schoolteacher named Patricia, came by because she'd heard about the rust sink and wanted to see the notebook. She'd ruined a good linen tablecloth with a store-bought stain remover. The chlorine had bleached a white patch right in the center, and she wanted to know if Mabel had a solution for that kind of damage. I had to be honest with her. You can't always undo what a harsh chemical has done. But Mabel had a recipe for a gentler stain treatment on delicate fabrics. White wine vinegar and cold water, applied immediately, blotted, not rubbed, followed by a soak in cool water with a tablespoon of cream of tartar. Patricia tried it on a different tablecloth that had a red wine stain she'd been ignoring for months. It worked perfectly. After that, Patricia started sending people to me. Mabel's notebook had a solution, and I mean that literally, for almost every problem in the house. For windows, she used a mixture of water and white vinegar applied with a folded sheet of newspaper. Not paper towels, not microfiber cloths from some kitchen gadget store. Old newspaper. The ink does something with the glass that leaves it absolutely streak-free. I know how it sounds. I know it sounds like the ramblings of a woman who's given up on reason, but go and try it once on your bathroom mirror and then come back and tell me I'm wrong. For wooden cutting boards that had absorbed years of smells and light stains, she used coarse salt and half a lemon. Scrub, rinse, dry in the sun. For a musty smell in a closet, she put an open box of baking soda on the shelf and a small dish of dried lavender. No plastic contraption required. For grease splatters on the wall behind the stove, the kind that build up over years and that the commercial degreasers would barely touch, she used a paste of baking soda and a few drops of plain dish soap, left for 5 minutes, then wiped clean with a warm cloth. It worked on grease that had probably been there since the Carter administration. My neighbors used to whisper about me boiling orange peels on the stove for a natural deodorizer, scrubbing my floor on my knees with a baking soda paste instead of buying a steam mop, and polishing my grandmother's silver with nothing but a paste of baking soda and water. They whispered until they saw my house. And they really whispered until they started adding up what they were spending at the store. Here's what woke Patricia up for good. She sat down one afternoon and went through her last 6 months of grocery receipts and pulled out everything she'd bought for cleaning. Dishwasher pods, laundry detergent, fabric softener, dryer sheets, bathroom cleaner, toilet cleaner, kitchen cleaner, wood polish, stainless steel polish, glass cleaner, oven cleaner, tile cleaner, grout pen, mold spray, drain opener, carpet freshener. She had spent, and I want you to sit with this number, she had spent $412 in 6 months on cleaning products alone. Not groceries, not personal care, just cleaning chemicals. I spend less than $15 a year. White vinegar in bulk, a large box of baking soda, coarse salt, cream of tartar, and occasional Castile soap. That is my entire cleaning budget. Mabel didn't just write down how to clean a floor, she wrote down how to escape a multi-billion-dollar industry that has convinced generations of Americans that their homes are never quite clean enough, that every surface needs a different product, and that the only proof of a clean home is the chemical smell of artificial fragrance clinging to every room. My neighbors used to think I'd gone eccentric. Now half of them have stopped buying cleaning products entirely. I have gathered all of Mabel's exact recipes, her original proportions, her seasonal deep cleaning rituals, her methods for laundry, floors, silver, copper, cast iron, grout, glass, fabric, wood, and leather, and I've made a little digital copy of everything in this notebook, available for you right now in the pinned comment below. It's her gift to you, passed through me. Go and get it. Let it free you from that aisle in the grocery store forever. Because what I'm about to show you next, what Mabel wrote on page 23 about a plain piece of white chalk and a grease stain on cotton, is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about laundry. For the first several years of this experiment, I kept quiet about the deeper philosophy of it. I focused on the practical. Here's how to do windows. Here's what to do about soap scum in the shower. But over time, especially as more neighbors and then friends of neighbors started asking, I began to understand that the cleaning methods themselves were almost secondary. The real thing I was teaching, the thing that Mabel had been trying to preserve, was a relationship with your home that didn't require buying anything. I'm not making an argument against modern life. I own a dishwasher. I have a smartphone. I'm talking to you on it right now. I'm making an argument about one very specific category of purchase that has been oversold, overpriced, and made unnecessarily complicated by people who profit from your uncertainty. Mabel was not uncertain. She knew exactly what she needed to keep her house clean, and it cost her almost nothing, and it worked better than anything I found on a shelf in a modern store. That's not nostalgia talking. That's 15 years of data from my own home. Her system for the kitchen floor was something I was skeptical of at first. She mopped with hot water and a splash of white vinegar, just that, nothing else, on hardwood, tile, and linoleum alike. I had always used a commercial floor cleaner that left a shine I associated with clean. After 2 weeks of Mabel's method, I realized that shine I'd been chasing was actually a residue, a waxy buildup from the surfactants in the commercial product that trapped dirt underneath and made the floor look bright while actually being less clean. When I stripped it out with the vinegar method, the floor was duller at first, and then, slowly, cleaner than it had ever been. Real clean doesn't always look like a waxed floor in a television commercial. Real clean looks like the honest surface of the material itself. I am in the last chapter of my life, I suppose. My children are grown and scattered, and my grandchildren visit and slide in socks on Mabel's clean floors. Some days I look at the little glass spray bottle on my kitchen windowsill, the same bottle I've been refilling with the same vinegar water solution for 15 years, and I think about all the plastic I didn't buy, all the chemical fumes I didn't breathe, all the money I kept in my own pocket instead of handing it to a corporation that was counting on my fear of not being clean enough. True cleanliness is not a smell, it's not a brand, it's not a product. It's the quiet confidence of knowing exactly what is in your home, exactly what you're touching, and exactly what you're breathing. Mabel knew that. She wrote it down. And I am so grateful, every single day, that I climbed up to that shelf and reached behind those winter sweaters. Your house is not as dirty as they want you to think it is. Your grandmother's recipes work better than the bottle with the bubble logo. And you already have most of what you need, right there in your pantry, waiting.